The Green Death is a serial that I went in blindly. As if with a lot of my Doctor Who related purchases on DVD, most of them, in fact, I got off of eBay at a good price. I was just figuring, like, if I could get it for $5, worth it. Definitely worth it. I knew nothing about the Green Death. I knew Joe Grant was this was the final story of Joe Grant, who I've had some experience with the character, thanks to the Sea Devils, which I reviewed, and of course the Three Doctors. Not sure if I'm aiming on reviewing that, but I went into this cold, slightly with like what I did with the Sea Devils, and I had a few worries. It was what's the word I'm looking for? It was long. It was a six-parter. Six-parters, like I've said, a lot of early stories that are longer than 4 parts didn't warrant it, in all honesty. They felt very padded and could have easily been reduced, if not 4 parts, at least reduced to 5. One feeling I kind of want to say here is, my feeling towards it is, I think I'm accurate on this one, because this one doesn't support the idea. The only one I've seen that was longer than 4 parts and pull it off is still Talons of Weng-Chiang, and I haven't seen too many stories longer than that at the moment. There's another. There's also the Big Finish version of Shada, but again, we're skipping too far here. But it had a few things to look forward to again. It was Pertwee. I like Pertwee. I like all the Doctors. They're all lovable in certain ways. And Pertwee's cool enough because, well, hey, he's the only Doctor who trained himself to beat the living shit out of people. But also that it's written by Robert Schloman. Now, this is the first story I've seen by him, but from what I understand, what I've read about him, he's considered a pretty good writer, especially in the Pertwee era. But it also saw the departure of Joe Grant, played by Katie Manning, who brought something very important to fandom. Get that off! Fucking pervert editor, whoever the fuck that probably might be. Okay, besides the infamous nude shoot with a Dalek, she was known for having great chemistry with Jon Pertwee. And that's well intact here. And I'll get to that in a minute. Now, the story itself worried me at the beginning because it opens very generically with a guy working a regular occupation, and in this case, it's working in a mine shaft, basically getting attacked and showing the major sign. In this case, he's glowing green. In some cases, you might see, like, I don't know, turn to stone, clawed marks, a bunch of things. No, here he's covered in ferocious. I mean, infected. Totally infected. It doesn't look like green paint at all that they made glow, which is one of the few good effects in this entire story. And I'll get to some of the other ones in a bit. Then the story cuts to hippies protesting a fueling plant. Yeah, that, I don't want to say that worried me, but it wasn't that I was afraid, oh god, I'm going to have to watch hippies for 6 episodes. Though that might have scared you by now. It was, okay, this is going to have some sort of goofy environmental message, and it does. The message itself is kind of in that realm of fine, because here's the thing about a message, and Doctor Who's done it many times, and since then, probably done it a couple times before then, I have no idea, I can't entirely state it, but there's a key thing about doing a message. You don't want to do it too subtly to where your message didn't get across enough, but you don't want it to dominate and make it look like you simply crudely painted the words message onto a plaque of wood and beat someone to death with it to get your quote-unquote message across them. I think the story manages to go closer to the middle than to the beat you in the head metaphor. It's a very simple message that totally worked in the 70s, right? Isn't that right? Gas station, that's $4 a gallon almost. Sorry, that's easy to get that joke in. But, so it's going to have somewhat of an environmental message. And of course, it's not even one of those where it attacks both sides. It's firmly on the side of petro fuels are evil, and even go as far as making the guy who's in control of the company insanely twirling a mustache evil. Best part is, he's not like the lead villain. That's the fun part. The lead villain's actually a supercomputer who is much more entertaining than some of the standard supercomputers that we've seen since and will see in the future. Basically because most computers don't laugh and sing out of joy. That was entertaining. Yeah, I love the boss computer. But let's talk about the main threat, the threat that's actually on the crudely made early US release DVD cover. God, I'm so happy we started to just take the UK versions and put them in our own way. Yeah. I don't like a majority of the early US versions of covers. They look crudely photoshopped. But again, story. The maggots themselves are basically a byproduct from the bad chemicals and the fueling stuff. Basically, because of the asshole science just not really caring, it causes maggots to grow, and to the point where if they grow like a regular bug in their case, they're attacked by they'll become, they'll attack. And they signify this by having a crude-looking dragonfly monster that John Pertwee has to defeat using the doctor method of stopping things, whatever the hell that might be. Now, again, the story on its own, the whole fuels are bad, and look, they're creating giant bugs. Oh God! That part of it's serviceable, if anything. It's a fun part of the story. Though it is slightly filled with cheese, like I've been saying, it's still cool to see Pertwee fight a giant dragonfly. And the villains themselves are very cheesy, mostly because it's a guy listening to a supercomputer. You gotta take this with a slight grain of salt, but after that, it's entertaining as hell, and you can't get angry at it. Well, hopefully I can't get angry at it. Now let's go into because the thing about this is, this story is very standard, very light, but has a lot of character stuff in it. Besides the villains themselves, what I talked about, a minor thing I want to bring up, because the big thing here is the mine. The kind of extras or minor characters who play mine workers look like mine workers, like you'd believe they're mine workers. And to be fair, this is me being a little scattershot, but let's move to effects before I move into characters, because that's just a minor complaint I wanted to bring up. Now, this one has its share of decent effects for the time and very shoddy effects, even kind of for the time. I'll give my first example, like I brought up at the beginning, the fluorescent paint to show the kind of infection. I don't think it's a hard effect to do, but it's still a very good looking one. It signifies something, and it does make it look strange, alien, though this isn't directly alien. I like that. Let's shift to the dragonfly. Like I mentioned, it looks insanely cheesy, but they did their best. Now let's go technically backwards and look at the maggots themselves. The maggots are beautifully done, and the story serves the, like, because there's kind of a build up to the maggots because you know they're coming. As a guy who's watching it like I am, knowing that the giant maggots are a big threat of the story, it's very, you know, I wanted to be on the edge of my seat, and the story actually managed to build it up, and the payoff's pretty good. The maggots themselves, even for the time, hell, even now, are, I think, are very good. They can definitely tell there's size to them. They have teeth. They have a hissing sound. Though they do look kind of proppish, they still look as natural as you can get it. I think they were great, and there's even this nice scene where they managed to, like, have them all, like, in mud and glowing, and that looks good. Now let's go to the major part. Green screen, especially in this part of in this era, perpetually, little I've seen of it, and the jokes I keep hearing, green screen was an easy thing to do, and it doesn't look good. I mean, it kind of sucks when you have to look at them and totally, like, short of the actor saying, "We're totally in a mineshaft elevator. Yes, this totally looks like, oh God, there's an earthquake totally happening. Oh God, the terror, the actual terror, because this is totally what's happening." Yeah, that was hilarious. It's terrible, but you know what? It made me smile. Because it's kind of good to see some shoddy effects. I don't know why. Because that's kind of part of the cheese. If anything, this show, even kind of today, has a cheese factor. And, though at the time, and I'm sure at the time it was still pretty, you know, even though it was possible you could tell it wasn't real, it was groundbreaking. The show's always kind of been a step ahead in effects at times. Now the stuff's laughable, but at the time, again, works fine. And it also helped that, you know, they weren't watching it on digital televisions like I am. You can get away with a lot more on a tiny, grainy screen than you could do on a large, crystal clear one. Now let's go back to characters because I'm so scattershot. Now, I mentioned the hippies. There's one hippie who's very important. Quinn. I believe that's his name. I'm slightly vague on it. I'm going to look it up as I'm talking to make sure, but for a moment we're just going to call him Joe's love interest. My safety net. He is he himself. I wasn't sure what to think of him. Because the thing is, it was kind of like somehow made clear that, okay, this guy's going to be probably like a love interest for Joe. I don't know why. It's probably because they have the same exact haircut, but for some reason I just saw, okay, I know Joe leaves and this is the beautifully, okay, fine, I'll use that word very lightly, the quote-unquote charming guy who sweeps her away. And I gotta say, their relationship is as believable as it could possibly be in the stretch of 6 episodes. Like, I totally bought it. I bought it for the most part. I could see them at least, you know, getting along and maybe dating. Going as far as saying we're getting married after knowing them for maybe a day or two? Yeah, you went too far. You went way too far past the believability scale. I'm sorry. But still, I liked them. I liked them when they were on screen. I thought they did get along really well, and I believe them that they at least did fall in love with each other at the end. Cool. Unit itself, Unit's a big part of it. I really like the Brigadier's, of course, when I gotta look at, he's like the main guy that will basically be known for the role almost to his death. R.I.P. Nicholas Courtney. But I liked him. I liked his stance about the quote-unquote message, because the message is there. Like I said, the environmental message. I kind of love the fact that he was on the side of petrol fuels. It showed that, like, because I was kind of thinking, oh god, everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, gasoline, how evil. No, this guy's a big part of it. Maybe it's because, you know, he's a military man and he's so used to petro fuels fueling like tanks and shit, but I not only did I believe it, it came insanely like it. If they would have said, oh, he's against petro fuels, I wouldn't have maybe have bought it. At least as much as I buy, you know, him thinking, oh yeah, you know, gasoline's all that good. Using resources like that is great. Screw plants. I'm going to burn down a mushroom field right now. And again, I love that. And again, I love Nicholas Courtney. He's a great actor. Anytime he came back, when I learned who he was, I learned to smile and enjoy him very much. Totally. And then after that, he unfortunately kind of gets downgraded to his usual leading unit around and busting shit up and playing second fiddle to the main two, but still works fine. Also, for some reason, the brig just makes a very charming dinner companion. I was just like, hooray, dinner! I would have dinner with fucking brig. Stupid, but hey, why not? Let's see. Mike Yates turning up as the man from the Ministry comes up as a real surprise. Basically, you wouldn't entirely suspect that. I guess is what you say. I don't want to ruin it for you, but what Mike Yates does is a kind of a surprising thing. I never thought I'd see it. Benton is very funny. He's unbelievably funny. When he's like, here, kitty, 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 come get your lovely din-dins. I thought that was hilarious. The Dr. Sergeant Benton. Now, I talked about them. Let's go to Jo. Jo herself, I really like Jo in this story. They very much kind of make. I do treat this as, if anything, this is definitely a very good story that built up her departure and it made her sing. She did things. She went into the horribly green screened tunnel. It took it upon herself. She's funny at times. She's very believable. Again, I love her with and his name was Cliff. His first name was Cliff. I was right. She got along with everyone great as usual. She got along with the regular kind of cast perfectly fine. There's a big thing I will mention, but we need to get to Pertwee first. Pertwee was definitely good in this one. He was. I don't know if this is his best because what I've seen, but I think because I've only now seen 3 stories, 4 counting a companion chronicle I listened to. Three stories just in this character, and I have to say, this might be my second favorite because I love him in the Three Doctors. He's great in the Three Doctors, but here he's. I don't know. Like I love everything about him's on display. His sense of adventure, his kind of bitterness being stuck on Earth. There's this whole kind of thing at the beginning where he's going to a planet called Metabeus 3. I can't remember the exact pronunciation. And they even, set up a little 2-minute scene of him arriving and getting attacked by whatever the fuck they had in the prop room, which was a little fun. Filler, hell yes. But all in all, I liked it. I thought that was fun. I like fun asides like that because it gives you the sense that there's more beyond what the main center is. Like maybe he spent like a whole, and again, not to mention the fact that he has a time machine, but for all we know, there's a whole adventure worth telling there. That's the thing I love. It kind of unknowingly opens the potential to other adventures that someone can write in. I mean, Big Finish did a companion chronicle called Quintus, which if you watched The Edge of Destruction like I did, you'd understand the significance of that planet's title. But I just love that. Again, I'm reading a little too much into it, honestly, but it's cool that, that there's more beyond what the camera shows. I love that. I really love that. And then after that, he goes in. I loved his chemistry. I love the fact that when he talks to Cliff. I'm calling him. I was wrong because his name's Cliff. I'm a jackass. I'm only human. When he talks to Cliff, I love the fact that he does it. He acknowledges that he knows him and read his studies, and I don't know. It was like a million. I love the fact when the doctor. I'm not gonna say get starstruck, but loves to talk to people of intelligence and break a couple minutes and talk about it and admire their breakthroughs, because the man loves people who are generally smart and generally clever. I love it. I love that. Again, it's minor, but still, it's good. Plus, it's good to see that because he is technically kind of passing the torch in a way, because Joe is going to leave the doctor to marry this guy and travel with him. So, in a way, it is a lot like them passing the torch. It's good to see that they have scenes together, and generally they like each other. They think they're fine people. But another thing I want to bring up, and I kind of forgot to bring it here, is there is one thing about Joe that annoyed me. Well, not annoyed me, but now that someone's given me context on it, I think it's kind of cool. And I have yet to see it. But in Joe's first appearance, she comes off somewhat bumbling, like breaking shit and slightly annoying Pertwee. Of course, the third Doctor gets used to her and treats her like a dear friend. And here she does the same thing, almost over the top Three Stooges, but still does the same thing. And it is a lot like passing the torch. And I do love the fact that, the relationship's good, but the goodbye between the Doctor and Joe is amazing. Well done. Both actors are giving a great performance. Joe's sad that he's leaving someone who's easily been her best friend throughout all this. And have so much time together, because at this point, the previous companion, Liz Shaw, was only there for one season. She is... Joe Grant spent more time as a companion with the Third Doctor than Liz Shaw or Sarah Jane. So, in a way, I consider... though I haven't seen any Liz Shaw stories, and I'm sure she's fine, I'm sure she's a great character, I, at the moment, treat Joe Grant is the definitive Third Doctor companion. If only one Doctor can have like a companion, I definitely right now say Joe. But Joe is treating it like she's saying goodbye to a friend, and the Doctor is treating it with a definite fair amount of sadness to it, but proud of her, proud that she's going off to do something that makes her happy. He's upset with it, but as upset as you would have any dear friend, like if a dear friend of yours was leaving, and that's what I buy. So all in all, this is very watchable. It's a little long. The pacing's somewhat slow, but the thing is, the story stuff, the plot is slow. The character stuff, though, is good. I think it almost took a break for character stuff because we had to kind of get. We definitely needed Joe. We needed Joe to be. We needed stuff for Joe to do character-wise, because this was her final story. So let's make it grand for her in many ways, not just like, oh, she's leaving. Give her make her seem useful, which they did. Make her fall in love with Cliff and make it believable, which they did in the amount of time they had, and give her kind of like build her up so she can finally say goodbye and make it heartfelt but make it sad at the same time. I easily think like if anything, you could easily make this 5 parts, because one of the episodes, at least in my opinion, seems to be, they spend a lot of time getting out of that cave. Like, it seems like one part's dedicated to them getting out of the cave. That could easily been taken off. Then the whole thing about the Doctor going to another planet is unnecessary in terms of plot, but it's interesting in character. Another thing I need to mention is the Doctor shows his skills of disguise. His master disguise is putting on a mustache and pretending to be a milkman and wearing a dress. Yeah, that image makes me laugh so much. Villains, again, the maggots are very good looking and kind of have a scare to them. When one of them becomes a dragonfly, the general idea behind it's cool. Execution's a little weak, but only because they had their limits, leaving them alone. I love the fucking boss computer. I don't know why. I just love the fact that as soon as I heard it laugh and sing a song, I don't know why, but that's just awesome. Like, there's more personality in this thing than is necessary. So, all in all, I don't know if this is a good one to start with. I don't think it really is, because if you seen a little bit more with Joe like I did, maybe you're better off. Maybe if you've even seen that, because there is that episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures that she guest starred in. But I think you need to see some other stories with her first, just to get a general idea about her character, help. But all in all, it's fair. It's a little slow, but still, I wasn't upset for watching it.